About 2 years ago, I was driving home from a family reunion pretty late at night, and the drive was about 2 hours. I didn't stay the night because I had to be back for work the following day. Most of the drive was on roads with dense bushes and trees on either side, the real creepy ones you see a lot in movies, where the branches seem to reach across the asphalt like skeletal fingers. Anyway, I had been driving about 45 minutes, and I was starting to get really tired. You know how sometimes you just suddenly become really tired out of nowhere? Well, yeah, that happened to me. It wasn't gradual either. One moment I was fine, singing along to the radio, and the next, my eyelids felt like they weighed 100 pounds each. I knew I wasn't going to last, but I didn't come across any place that I felt I could park and safely sleep. The radio had started acting strange, too, cycling through stations on its own, picking up nothing but static and occasionally what sounded like whispered voices. I tried to change it manually, but it wouldn't respond. Eventually, I just turned it off. The silence that followed was somehow worse. Anyway, after it became clear to me that I wasn't going to find a place to pull up, and my tiredness wasn't going away, I did something very questionable. I pulled over to the side of the road, onto the grass behind some bushes, to try and hide my car from anybody else who was going to come past. The roads weren't empty. I'd been coming across another car every few minutes or so, their headlights cutting through the darkness like searchlights. I made a mental note that the time was 11:22, locked all the doors, reclined my seat just a bit, and then fell asleep. Sometime later I was awoken by a scratching sound. My eyes snapped open, my heart already pounding before my brain had fully processed what had woken me. I looked at the clock, 11:50. The sound stopped after a few seconds, and because I was still extremely tired, I didn't bother looking around and simply went back to sleep. Though I do remember thinking, just before drifting off, that the scratching had sounded deliberate, not random, like it was forming a pattern. I was later awoken by the same sound, and it was now 12:40. This time it really freaked me out because the sound didn't stop. It just kept going. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Methodical and persistent. The thought ran across my mind that it was just an animal inspecting the car. But why would it return almost an hour after it had left the previous time? And what animal scratches in such a steady rhythm? I looked in my rearview mirror and just managed to catch a glimpse of something running away into the forest. It was tall. Too tall to be a deer or any normal animal, and it moved wrong, like its joints bent in places they shouldn't. Now, at the time, I thought it was the damn hook killer, you know, the one that scratched that couple's car and then slaughtered the guy when he got out to investigate. Fuck that, I thought to myself, so I got the hell out of there. My hands were shaking as I started the engine. The headlights illuminated the trees ahead, and for just a second, I could have sworn I saw something standing just beyond their reach, watching. But when I blinked, it was gone. There was a bend no more than 100 yards up the road, and as I came around it, there was a fucking car, parked off to the side of the road, with the driver's side door wide open. The interior light was on, casting a pale yellow glow. I slowed down, just to look to see if anyone was in there. There wasn't, but the keys were still in the ignition, and the engine was running. I could see the dashboard lights, glowing green. Then I looked in my rearview mirror. I didn't see anything, and all of a sudden, something slammed into my rear windshield. The glass spider-webbed but didn't shatter. I screamed and floored the gas pedal. My car lurched forward, tires squealing. In the mirror, I caught a glimpse of a figure standing in the middle of the road behind me, illuminated by my taillights. It was impossibly thin, with limbs that were too long, and its head tilted at an unnatural angle. It just stood there, not moving, not chasing, just watching me go. I didn't slow down. I kept my foot pressed to the floor, taking the curves way too fast, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. My breath came in ragged gasps, fogging up the windshield. That's when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. There were scratches on the inside of my windshield, fresh scratches, like something had been in the car with me while I was sleeping. I nearly drove off the road when I saw them. How long had it been in there? What had it been doing while I slept? The thought of those long, wrong fingers hovering inches from my face while I was unconscious made bile rise in my throat. I was about 15 minutes from the nearest town when my headlights started flickering. Off and on. Off and on. I hit the dashboard, desperate, but it only got worse. And then, in one of those brief moments when they came back on, I saw it. Standing in the middle of the road, about 50 feet ahead, the same figure. Those impossibly long arms hanging at its sides, that tilted head. How had it gotten ahead of me? I swerved, barely missing it, and as I passed, it turned its head to follow my car. I saw its face, or where its face should have been. Instead, there was just smooth, pale skin, except for a mouth that seemed to split its entire head in half when it opened. And it was smiling. My car fishtailed as I overcorrected, but I managed to keep it on the road. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I just kept driving, my entire body trembling, tears streaming down my face. When I finally reached the town, I pulled into the first 24-hour gas station I saw, parking directly under the brightest lights I could find. I sat there for 20 minutes, just breathing, before I worked up the courage to get out and inspect my car. The rear windshield was cracked, just like I remembered. But what I didn't remember, what I couldn't have seen in the dark, were the dozens of scratches covering every surface of my car. The hood, the roof, the sides, even the door handles. And on my rear bumper, scratched deep into the paint, were 3 words. Stay awake next time. If you're ever driving late at night and you feel that sudden, overwhelming tiredness, fight it. Find a well-lit place, a busy truck stop, anywhere with people. Don't pull over on dark roads, don't hide behind bushes, and whatever you do, if you wake up to scratching sounds, don't go back to sleep. Don't assume it's just an animal, because sometimes it's something far worse. Something that's very, very patient, and something that knows exactly where you are.